First off, kudos to us for being punctual because here we are, a
Amazing.
week and another episode. Golf
I
clap all
mean, I'm beat. Let me tell you. Whew.
I know for a second I was like, what are we even going to talk about? Like, we just talked last week. Like, has anything happened? But no, there are so many things happening.
There's plenty of things happening.
Yeah. It looks like the Sphere is having a moment because Metallica might be playing at the Sphere. They're
I had
teasing.
not heard that. Holy crap.
You know what's funny is there was like one Las Vegas publication that said Metallica was in talks with the Sphere. And I saw it and I was like, are they though? And then 3 days later, it was like the press cycle got it. And now everybody's like, Metallica at the Sphere? Metallica at the Sphere?
I imagine they can do as many nights as they feel like.
Yeah. Like part of me is like, well, they're kind of on this M72 World Tour thing. So
Yeah.
I don't know if they would want to do a Sphere residency, but then also, why not? Right? It seems to be the easiest thing ever. They've managed to get the Eagles to stay together for an extra 2 years for it.
It would be the easiest thing ever. And just knowing like it's still, as much as we've all seen videos of it, like hardly anyone's actually been there for when you think about all the people who are actually going to go see shows eventually. So it's still new, it's still cool. And for any band that goes in there, even a band like Metallica, you can say, well, you've never played a place like this before. So yeah, I get it.
I heard at one point that the Eagles were going to do more residency in 26, but there's nothing that says the Eagles can't do the first half and Metallica do like the second half.
Oh, they can. I mean, both those bands could probably put up as many shows as they wanted. I don't think it'd be a problem. They could play there. Metallica could go do a month at the Sphere for every year for the rest of all time. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, they basically are doing that right now. They're just going to keep extending this tour because they can go out and take over a city every weekend for as long as they feel like doing it.
Now, have you seen The Wizard of Oz at the Sphere is happening as a thing?
Yeah, that's a bit much.
Did you see how much tickets are?
No.
They're like almost $200.
Well, and then you think about whatever you're paying for the mushrooms, and then you're in for a good bit, to make it the night it needs to be.
And they're not even syncing it with Pink Floyd.
Go figure. That would be worth seeing. That Sphere.
Although it is really cute the way that they've put a giant pair of shoes coming out of the Sphere. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
The big ruby slippers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they're going in, they're going all the way in. So you got to hand it to the Sphere for that.
Yeah, I imagine there's so many things that they have planned to do there that they're just going to unveil one after. It never in a million years occurred to me a movie would be something that would happen there, but yeah, why not?
Apparently they had to spend an outrageous amount of money redoing the movie, not just but just to redo it.
Mm-hmm.
And people are super mad now because Dorothy has prominent freckles and Uncle Frank has been put into scenes that he was never in or something like that. And I'm like,
well, a lot of people really need a hobby. Who cares?
It's already a movie. You're already paying $200 to see it in Las Vegas in a giant ball.
Yeah, these are fictional characters. Last I checked.
Like once you're in that deep, why would you care about freckles?
I don't care about anything to do with any fictional character. For that matter, I don't care who plays who in a movie about real people. They're all actors. Go for it. Whatever. Put anyone in any part. I thought it was great when Cate Blanchett played Bob Dylan. That made perfect sense to me.
I would watch Cate Blanchett play anything.
As would I. That's essentially, I guess, what I was saying, which is, and no part too small or weird. But I mean, and in that movie, I thought she was the best part of it. I thought that she made more sense as Bob Dylan than anybody else did.
Except now for what's his face?
Timothy
Chalamet.
Yeah.
I still haven't watched it. I should.
You should. It's good.
As not a Dylan fan, would I still get it?
Oh boy, that's just such a hard one for me to answer, just because it's hard to get past the as not a Dylan fan. But I'll try. Um, yeah, yeah, you'll dig it.
I
It's
could
I mean the movie, the entire story is in the title because you don't come away from the movie thinking you know anything more about him than you do right now, and that's the point. He's a hologram by design, so everybody projects all their stuff onto him, and what's really going on inside his head you'll never know because I think he picked up on the fact very early on that there's no reality in the world he was stepping into. He's just got to keep it all inside, and he's like a journalist. He's just observing and writing about what he's seeing. He's not weighing in necessarily. And you know, it's I just think he's such a fascinating character for a million reasons. But the coolest thing about the movie to me, not that I needed to be reminded of it, but I was still reminded of it in a way, which is in a very short amount of time, as a man in his early 20s, he wrote countless iconic songs. They were just falling out of him like apples with gravity. You know, it really was this incredible moment in the history of art, much less rock and roll, much less music, much less one guy's life. So it covers that pretty well. Without the thing I can't stand about movies or TV shows about musicians is when they try to show you the romance of creation. There's no romance in creation. There's I don't know where this is coming from, but I got to get this out. The romance is when you take it home and put it on your own turntable and you're in your own beanbag chair, and then you imagine what the artist went through. You know, look at the Get Back documentary. It's four guys sitting in folding chairs in a circle, just pulling songs out of the ether. And they had great clothes, and they're the Beatles, and they're fun cartoon characters, but there's no romance. It's just I hear something, let me chase it down and find it, and that's what you know. Same thing with Dylan; these songs were just pouring out of him.
it's watching the sausage get made and it's not
Yeah,
interesting at all.
yeah. I think the Beatles are the only band that's ever existed that people would watch 8 hours of that. You know, honestly, no matter who your favorite band is, trust me, when they're putting songs together in a room, it's boring as hell.
As somebody who's been in the studio and been like, I'm gonna go get you
Yeah,
guys something because
yeah.
nope, it is. It's boring
Mm-hmm.
and and there's a lot of back and forth and a lot of arguing.
Yeah,
Like not
sure. I mean, if you sit in a cockpit with a pilot, about 10 minutes in, you're like, I'm going to take a nap now because this is the most boring thing in the world. You think it's going to be so exciting and thrilling. I mean, unless that pilot is flying, you know, a fighter jet in the Navy, no, it's just a series of mechanical obligations and there's just computer brain robot stuff. Hit this, do that. There's nothing about it other than you know the excitement is what you project onto it, and especially with music. You know, you pick any band, most bands. I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of bands who go out of their way to set the mood before they hit record, but the not the original guys, not the original rock and rollers. They didn't have time and the money to set the mood. There wasn't, hey, let's get out the candles and incense. It was like, dude, shut up, play, let's go. Time is money, and that's
that
where
was
all
the
the
early
great. That's you know
industry
that's where it all
too.
comes from.
Sorry. That was the early recording industry too, right? I mean, they were
Yeah,
expected to produce 10 songs every 8 months practically.
the Beatles recorded their first album in one day. Do you think they had time to worry about the mood in the room? They recorded all of Please Please Me in 12 hours. You know, it's insane.
Ironically, so did the Ramones. I mean, there's a parallel there.
There is a parallel there. I've spent 12 hours trying to get a kick drum sound before to tell you how far off the ridiculous things have gotten in the recording industry. I spent a whole
12
day.
hours
I
of
spent an entire day at Sound City just on a kick drum sound. And when it was finally determined it was there, I said, okay, I'll see you tomorrow because I'm exhausted now. And we're not going to go play a bunch of tracks because I've been hitting drums by myself for a whole day.
when you hear these stories about bands spending like outrageous amounts of time and money in a studio, like that's the nuts and bolts of it right there.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, it's an album. It was the third album by the Black Crowes of Morica, which sonically I think is probably the best sounding album we ever had. But it doesn't matter because they didn't have songs that captured people's imagination viscerally and immediately. I mean, the album holds up; it's a fine album, but you know, if you want to nitpick, there are guitar tones on Rolling Stones records that are garbage that nobody would ever try to replicate, but they sound amazing because, oh, that's Brown Sugar, or that's this song or that song. Really, none of that stuff matters if the song's great.
So the tone chasing is kind of a substitute for when the songwriting's just not flowing.
Well, I mean, plenty of people look for the tones. I mean, Steely Dan has a pretty strong argument against that, but yeah, in our case, I think it was just everybody getting obsessed with the wrong things. It was like the first time you're working with somebody who can get those kind of sounds, you just get lost in this pursuit of sounds, and then you look up and go, oh, well, maybe a chorus would have been cool.
Oh my god!
Everybody's experience is different, and
Yeah.
within the same band, it's different in the way people look at things. But we also did. I mean, I think the best Black Crowes record is the second album, and we recorded the whole thing. I started on Friday night, and I was done by Monday. It's just we just knocked it all out. Didn't matter what it sounded like, and there's a lot more to that than just the songs. It's the energy of the band. Like that band walked in there like an offensive line. We were just completely in sync and just going.
Sorry, I lost you completely for a second.
The
album was the second album.
Well, the second album is, I think, the best album, and we recorded the whole thing, and I started on Friday night and I was done by Monday. I mean, it was just a long weekend for the drum tracks, and that's not. And the sounds are fine, the songs are great, but it was more just the vibe of the band. Like you could have given us anything and we would have made it work right then. And there's a lot more to it. On the third album, we were all at each other's throats. It was just bickering, and it's easy to focus on sounds when you can't agree on much else. And every band has their own experience in that. So, I mean, these are not hard, fast rules, but at the end of the day, nothing ever trumps a great song. I mean, look at Oasis, whether you like that band or not, those first two albums have 5 or 6 songs that are just eternally great. First time anyone ever heard Don't Look Back in Anger, you went, oh, damn.
Yeah.
Huh. The first time I heard Wonderwall, I just sat there staring at I'm in my car and I'm just staring at the radio going, those bastards. Like, wow. It's like, that's going to be around forever. You can just tell when you hear a song. It just captures some moment that is, no one ever talks about guitar tones on Oasis records. They just talk about, those are some songs, man.
I think that is 100% fair. I mean, and if there's one thing I do love, it's armchair quarterbacking a band.
Sure. We all do it.
Just looking back and being like, why couldn't we just have, why couldn't this just have happened? But that's not what matters, right? I mean, you look at a band like Fleetwood Mac and it's like, if they'd all gotten along, it would have been the worst album ever.
Oh, sure. I mean, like I've talked a lot about the Black Crowes, and when someone says like, well, gosh, if it was so awful, why didn't you leave? And I'm like, no, it's not that it was awful. We were one of the greatest bands. It's everything I wanted. It's like if I have a beef, it's like, well, we got bronze. We could have had gold, but the bronze is still pretty great. It's like, no, we were still on the medal stand. We just didn't get the golds we could have had. That's how I would look at it. And all things considered, that's cool. That's still great. So I'm not saying it. I wish it hadn't happened or anything even close to that.
It's interesting because we're seeing now what happens when there's not a lot of not a lot of radio, but also not a lot of recording industry influence, because the bands are just having to make everything on their own. And instead of having a record label cracking the whip, they're kind of cracking the whip on themselves just for lack of money or for personal ambitions. And I can't tell if that's making it better or worse because we've just got so many things out there to choose from. I think the cream is having a hard time rising to the top because now you have to please an algorithm and not an ear.
Sure. And I mean, as far as, I mean, I think it's easier than ever for a band or an artist to do what they want to do. There aren't as many games to play, but if you're trying to be relevant, if you're trying to be, Chappell Roan, who I don't know much about, but she's a huge pop star now. If you're trying to be her, good luck, because 3 years ago, she didn't know what she was trying. She was just pursuing her thing and everybody kind of figured it out. I mean, I saw a video the other day from like 2009 Lollapalooza, Lady Gaga playing to 100 people. And this is easy to say in hindsight, but at the same time, this video popped up and I looked at it and I thought, who in that crowd didn't know, oh, this artist is different? Like you could see it all.
Yeah.
And it wasn't nearly as polished. And, she just had a sparse little band and some backing tracks. I mean, it was very low budget, but it was like, yeah, but there was just such a thing flying off of her that's just unmistakable. And she did it exactly her way. And so whoever the next person like that is, there's all these people in the wake of Taylor Swift I see. And I'm thinking of pop people just because those are the people with the biggest audiences, or the people who are trying and accomplishing that task of getting one. For a young rock band to come out now and say, I want to be the biggest band in the world, that's like, I couldn't even begin to figure out or try to understand how that would even be possible. Except for, unless you got those kind of songs, if your songs just resonate, it always comes back to that. You can get a lot done with good songs, but you can get anything done with great songs.
And that's when you've got like a magic songwriter, you've got like a Jack White, or you've got a McCartney-Lennon combination, or something that is just undeniable.
And one thing Jack never always understood and never made any bones about is like, well, and as great as the songs are, you got to wrap it up in a pretty tidy, cool package too. You know what I mean? The White Stripes, nothing was left to chance. That was, very, very formatted. The color scheme and the way they looked and the way they did everything, because he understood, yeah, the music's great, but I got to get people's attention who don't know the difference between a good and a great song, if you want a big audience. So, I mean, if you're a young band, and that was all 24 years ago, I just don't know in this year what it would take. I can't imagine.
Have you heard anything new that's kind of been just sparky?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I always like, I've mentioned this band to you before, a band called Illiterate Light. It's my nephew's band. Now, I have several great friends and several family members who play music that I won't recommend because they're not, this is not nepotism. They're a great band. And so I'm very much in touch with that. I listen to everything they do, and it's they're just as good a band as you can see. But that said, and my nephew will say, "Oh, here's a great band. Check this band out. Check that band out." And I do believe he would be steering me in the right direction, but I never do. I'm just like, I'm sorry, man. I love nothing more than finding a new artist that I love, but it just doesn't happen that much. And I don't seek it out. When it does happen, it's almost more special because I'm not looking for it. It just kind of hits me in the head.
I feel like I have to see him live. It's
Sure.
very rare that I hear something. I mean, in the past, I would hear it in the context of like car radio blasting, and I was never in a stress position at that point. I was younger. And now if I'm in the car, it's just nonstop stress because there's probably traffic. I'm probably on my way to something. I've got all this stuff going on, and I'm not even listening half the time to whatever's coming out of the radio. But also the radio is in the industry is in such a tiny place right now where they're just force feeding everybody the stuff they've already heard 100 times just because they're afraid people will tune away. The radio is sadly not a place for new music anymore. It's all on the internet, and the internet is just such a garbage dump for everything else. I don't know how to get to new music unless I'm seeing somebody live, and that means I have to get there early to see the opener. And I don't know how bad I am.
Yeah, it's a twisted circle for sure. We
need your nephew to start like a page for us, like just have him like link us to a Dropbox or something, or
Oh, he would do that. He'd do that in a second. It's a good idea. It's funny too, because radio's not the place to go to hear new music necessarily, but I think things have gotten so scattered. I've just seen things lately about the number of people listening to radio is higher than it was even 20 years ago right now. And the loyalty of people with their favorite stations is as deeply entrenched as it's ever been. And I think part of that is because so much is scattered. There's no water cooler conversations anymore. It's like for so many people, especially, you live in a city, in an area where there's a little bit of a commute every day for a lot of people. And those radio shows that people dial into and connect with, they're more important than they've ever been, because every other part of your life is so fragmented. We used to have 3 TV channels and 2 radio stations, and now we have 30 channels and 2 radio stations. Now we have 15 streamers and 2 radio stations that you listen to, that people really want to find. You've got every artist that's ever put out anything on Spotify. It's like you open up Spotify, it's like, how in the hell do you know? But people like the idea of like, well, at least I know this is on at this time of day. So it's interesting, the farther you get removed from some of the old stuff, and the more ingredients you add to the dish, the more you find yourself going, I just want some chicken and broccoli. I don't need all that paprika, or whatever it is.
Just give me the AC/DC and the DJ I've known for 20 years who is going to tell me something funny.
Yeah. Or who I know about, his pet iguana or whatever it is. That's still for people, like us who do radio and talk about music that we care about and things we care about, it's still very, very important. And I just think, the reason I think the reason it's more important than ever is because so much of the rest of our consumption is scattered and really there's no bullseye. There's just all the outer rings of the dartboard to find. And people are just looking for that one thing they can connect to.
This is the thing, is like, I have a natural filter for music, and it's people I know, because I'm sure this happens to you, and especially because I have like a metal show that I program myself. I just get inundated on a daily basis by record labels with bands. And I'm like, I would have to sit here and do nothing but listen to bands full time.
Yeah.
Just from my email account alone. And it's like, I don't have that kind of time, energy, nothing. So until a band rises up through the ranks, and this is because, the metal show I do is classic. So it's not that I don't play any new bands. It's that you kind of need to reach a certain level before I'm going to put it in the air. And I just wait for a band to rise to that level and make it on my radar. But now I'm worried that my radar is off, because a lot of bands aren't coming through the Bay Area because touring is getting to be so difficult, and they're staying closer to home, and they're going places where they know they can sell more tickets, which San Francisco is a tough competitive market that way.
Yep.
And people aren't communicating bands as much as they used to. Like, my tight circle of friends are just my age and listening to the same thing over and over and over.
Yeah.
I need an infusion. I need some new blood. And it's like, I'm never going to go to Lollapalooza again because it's cumbersome to get there. I almost never go to these festivals anymore. And when I do, getting there at 10 o'clock in the morning to see the new bands is completely out of pocket. Like when Tool played the side stage at Lollapalooza, that was a huge deal, right? But Lollapalooza started at like noon or 1, and I think the main stage started at 2, and you saw Tool in the afternoon and you were like, oh my God, these guys are great. And then the show was over at 11 and you saw every band on the same stage instead of 3 or 4 stages with 75 bands, and you're never going to get to see all of them. You're probably going to see like 5 bands, but you're going to spend $500 to go for the whole weekend. And it's like,
it's crazy.
I need a better system, bro.
That just reminds me, I just read a story today about Golden Gate Park this weekend. The Dead, the 3 shows the Dead are playing, and people are complaining about the $635 3-day pass. And I'm thinking, $200 a day in Golden Gate Park for the 60th anniversary? I would have thought it would be 3 times that much, the way things are now.
Sold out like that.
Yeah, of course. And then I saw somebody where he said like the most expensive ticket that band ever sold when Jerry was alive was $35. And that, okay. So, the mid 95 tickets were $35 to see the Dead. Probably. And what I would say is, and I guarantee you people were bitching about that.
Absolutely.
The market is what the market is. It's when people complain about ticket prices, all I think is, well, maybe buy a few more records. And the artists would feel a little worse about raising their ticket prices, but they're trying to make a living, trying to make money. Yeah, we've
Exactly.
talked about that a ton. You know, you've worked with all kinds of parts of live touring. It's just it's as you just said, the idea that bands are avoiding the Bay Area, that would have been completely incomprehensible up until the last few years. It just doesn't. It's like where everyone's trying to go forever, and now it's become too difficult. That's crazy.
They're intentionally passing us up and heading to a smaller market because they know they can sell more tickets in a smaller market because there's nothing else to do.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I mean, a bit of a really not connected at all, but just reminded me about I was watching a thing on MTV like a year ago, and all the when MTV first hit in 1981, cable wasn't in big cities. Cable TV was in smaller towns, and so all these English bands like Haircut 100 and English Beat and Squeeze and all these bands that were doing okay in the UK, but they were totally unknown here. Suddenly, they could go sell 4,000 tickets in Boise, Idaho, and they could sell 2,500 tickets in Fargo, North Dakota, and they could play a 500 seater in New York City
Mm-hmm.
because they were on cable MTV, which the big cities didn't have. And all this, you know, just what a bizarre thing that it kind of everything went backwards with MTV with that. But yeah, there were bands, you know, going to, you know, cities you've barely heard of and selling 1,000, 2,000 tickets. And these same bands would go to they'd go to Atlanta and Miami and, you know, and Dallas and sell a third as many simply because of MTV.
I can tell you right now that we did not get MTV in my town until May 1st, 1986.
86. Wow.
That's how big a deal it was, and that's how long it took us.
Yeah, I didn't. I don't know when my hometown got it, but I know that it started in August of '81, and I went to college in August of '83, and that's the first time I got to see it regularly because they had it in the town. You know, it's just an hour away, but all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I could walk into the student center on campus at any time, day or night, and MTV was playing in the one of the areas. And I would just stare at it. I would just, you know, I'd burn an hour. If I had an hour to kill between classes, I would just go right there and sit down and watch. Just
And
incredible. Like,
30 years later, people are still doing that. They're
yeah,
just on the internet because
yeah.
MTV's not doing it anymore.
I'm
And
I wonder. I mean, it's the age old question. What if MTV had just not gone to the real world and all of the, you know, they used to have those game shows, remote control. You know, the original programming that wasn't just videos. It still fit and it made sense. It was MTV,
yeah,
and it was like they had their own universe. But by the by the mid '90s, it was just you could see it's just the sand is all coming out of the glass. It's going to end, and fewer videos, and then every now and again they'll just have a day where they play videos for 24 hours, and I can't imagine those aren't really highly rated. I mean, there's tons of people. My kids are fascinated by the concept. Like they're like, oh, this is just video after video after video. Cool.
it's kind of what's already happening on TikTok.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all music instead of
Hmm.
instead of the reverse, which is what we have
Yeah,
now. Like, and you've got radio and television trying to catch up by incorporating stupid internet videos
yeah,
into broadcasting now. And like, I literally stopped watching local news the minute local news started having like Twitter comments
yeah,
and
yeah. I know. Like
stupid
what?
viral videos. And I'm like,
I know. It's
I don't,
terrible.
I'm not watching the news for the internet. Like, what that, like,
Yeah, there was I remember it's been years, but flipping channels and one of the crime shows, 2020 or Dateline or 48 hours, one of those always just talking. But it was going into the commercial break and it said, "Do you think she's guilty? Tweet and hashtag this." Like, and I was like looking for listener engagement. And I'm like, can't I just enjoy a little true crime without you asking me to engage? Come on.
are we live tweeting true crime shows now?
Apparently so. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Twitter's
Mhm.
pretty much dead now, right? I mean, there's a
Yeah.
Twitterverse that's still trying to prop it up, but I log in like once every month.
It's only interesting to me for sports. If you're watching a game, it's funny to, there's still comedy to me available on Twitter, humor in when you're watching sports and complaining about sports. Like everything beyond that is just gross. And it's so full of bots. I mean, it's just not real, I mean, it really was. I've said this a million times, but 12, 13 years ago, I thought Twitter was just fantastic. It was so full of funny people just having, you had to be funny in 140 characters or less. It was the place for one-liners. It was great. But that's long, long gone now.
And that's sadly still the thing that it's best at. It just can't get out of its own way to do the thing that it's best at. Which
it's
in a nutshell now, right?
Yeah, well, it's no longer trying to get out of its own way. It's just a complete, it's a ugh. I just don't even want to. It's
just a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
It's a dumpster fire in a sewer.
That's it. Well,
did you see that people are mad at Spotify again? I guess the CEO is investing in like AI drone technology or something.
Yeah.
And are pulling themselves off of Spotify, and I'm like,
I mean,
nobody's really making a lot of money on Spotify to begin with. So
yeah, I'm all for, it's not like I don't listen to music on streaming services, but the reason I don't lose any sleep over this stuff is because, I mean, the genie was long out of the bottle before most people, myself included, realized it. It was, this is all. It's like AI. AI has been going on for a long time. We're just now all finally aware of it. There's just this weird cabal of rich boys in your backyard who are just determined to destroy humanity by thinking they're making it easier, and it's not working, and it's never going to work. Convenience is certainly the enemy of creativity, and it's just, I kind of feel like George Carlin-esque, which is, hey, the game's already over. The only difference is, are we in the third quarter or the fourth quarter? That's the only thing we don't know. But it's already been decided. Huh?
We're at the 2-minute warning.
Man, I hope not, and I hope so at the same time.
It's super sketch, and this is so valid. They are creating it to make things easier, but the problem is, we're not learning the basics that we need in order to utilize something that makes it easier, right? Like when you were a kid, we all had calculators, but we all had to learn the math first.
I mean, if I'll be impressed when AI figures out how to grow more vegetables faster. I'll be impressed when AI figures out how to house everyone cheaper. Like, fix humanity. Then I'll go to Silicon Valley and say, good job, guys. But, lining your own bank accounts so that I can, look at my phone and say, what was Napoleon's fourth cat's name? I don't care. It's not helpful. And I was talking today on my radio show. I use Waze or the other GPS in my phone wherever I go, just for traffic updates, because I don't want to get stuck behind a crash. And so I'm good with directions. I know how to get wherever I'm going. If I go once, I'll always remember it. At least I know that's how I used to be. I can't help but think that my brain has lost some of that ability just because I know I'm going to have that map up there at all times. And is it convenient? It helps me avoid cops on the interstate, and it helps me avoid traffic jams in town. But what am I losing in order to get that? And I'm sure it's something. I'm just, I might not know it yet, but it's definitely a part of my brain that's rotting because of that.
I do exactly that. So you know what I do is I log on to Waze and I get my route, and then I log off.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then when I hit a spot where I know there's going to be a decision to be made, I log back on real quick just to see if traffic has changed in that spot. Yeah. And then I see the route, and then I log back off, and then I go back to whatever, and then I continue driving. Yeah. But, that has happened to me. I will look up and be like, I don't remember how to get out of here to this place I've been going to for 20 years.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
You know what happened yesterday that scared me is I was at the ball game and I asked my nephew to Google something, and he looked at me and he was like, and I go, oh, the kids don't say Google anymore. You don't Google stuff. And he was like, no, they all use ChatGPT. All the kids are using ChatGPT all the time. And
Yeah.
here's the thing is that they haven't learned the basic math of how to determine what's true and what's not, right?
Oh,
If you
sure.
Google
Yeah.
something, you get the sources for that information, and you can look at that source and say, well, that's sponsored. That's not true. That's, that's an unreliable site. That's probably not true. And you can look until you get
Hmm.
information from a reliable source. They don't know how to do that. They only know how to get the ChatGPT synopsis, and ChatGPT is gleaning that information indiscriminately from those Google results and then condensing it
Yeah.
without any concern for its accuracy. And
I s-
that's how we're creating idiocracy by making things easier
sure.
without providing the basis for how to utilize something
Hmm.
once you know how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw an article last year about in Finnish schools in Finland, a big part of the curriculum for middle schoolers is just that exact thing. This is how you determine if something's real or not. Research it, source it, multiple sources. They're given these protocols that they can then take on for the rest of their lives, which tells me that in about 30 years, Finland will run the world because it'll be the only ones that have a clue as to what's actually happening.
Also, they all get healthcare and they're the happiest.
They certainly do, and yes, they are, and they know how to work fish too. My God, can they get creative with their fish dishes?
I don't like fish, so this is frightening me. What have you had in
You're
finished
just
fish?
gonna have to. You just got to go. They can make any fish taste good. It's like whatever. It's the same stuff we would do, but it just tastes better over there.
Okay.
I'm telling you,
Probably because the water's colder.
probably that's probably exactly what it is. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I think we're pretty good. Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like this is a good ending spot. We could go.
The Finnish fish. We got there. We got to the finish line, if you
We
prefer.
finished.
Yes, we did. Right on.
I'm so sorry I punned. I feel
Yeah,
so
it
bad.
happens. Happens to the best of us.